I kind of miss my university days, so I use ChatGPT to help me create my own. Not everything to do with university, let me be clear, but I miss my structured learning. I miss someone helping me get deeper into a subject in a way that I have found difficult to do on my own. I wrote an essay on Substack this week, which I will link down below. And in it, I give a really clear step-by-step on how to create your own syllabus. But I thought in this video, I might just give you a more casual, behind-the-scenes kind of tour of my personal curriculum that I have set myself for my next study sprint, what I even mean by that, and show you how I built it in ChatGPT. The first steps that I outline are kind of just working out what you want to study. So if you already know what you want to study, you can just skip all of that. But I step through finding a field, a focus, and a question. So a field would be something really broad like history. A focus would be something like the French Revolution. And a question might be more like what happened to the French Revolution after the death of Marie Antoinette and King Louis XVI. And then so you are trying to answer that question. So you can totally make that your own, but I would say, and I will keep saying, that I really encourage you to have a study question as part of your personal curriculum. I have tried to study without one and it becomes overwhelming, it becomes chaotic, it just becomes too broad. And at university, there was always a study question. And so when I added that in, it really, everything sort of clicked into place. And now I am not frustrated or concerned that my focus is too narrow, which is what I was at the beginning. I didn't really want to narrow down my focus too much. And now I realize that therein lies stress. And this is not supposed to be a stressful process. So once you have decided what you actually want to study, and if you need more tips on that, you can have a look at that Substack, but also let me know, and I can maybe do a video on how do you actually work out what you want to study. So once you have done that, then I recommend, even though it is contentious, I recommend using ChatGPT to create your syllabus. I work on a 6-week sprint because I find a month too short and a quarter too long. So 6 weeks is where I have landed, and I have had success with that. That works very well for me. And if I do 2 or 3 sessions a week, then I can cover an awful lot of ground in 6 weeks. And that, as I say, that works for me. You might want to only do 1 or 2 sessions a week, in which case maybe a quarterly process would be a better fit. But you need to decide that for yourself, and then you need to experiment with that for yourself. The reason why I think that AI is necessary here is because when you are designing a curriculum, you don't know. You don't know enough about the subject yet. That is why you are studying it. So you don't know who the key players are, or the exact timeline of events, or the seminal texts, or the most important resources that you should refer to. But Chat does, for the most part. Definitely, as always, you want a bit of human intervention in there, but I've only had a positive experience using it for this purpose. So let me pull up my actual study sprint that I'm working on right now, and we can just walk through it together. So my study sprint at the moment, as I said, is about how the Gothic and the arts and crafts movements are related. And I'm working on that over the next 6 weeks. So as you can see, this is my study curriculum in Evernote, and it is divided into each week. And so if we look at week 1, each week I like to have a core question. So I like to have a question to guide the full 6 weeks, the full sprint, but I also like to have one per week. Again, I always did this at university, and having not done it, I do now add it in because I think it gives a lot of structure and a lot of focus each week. Then I have my aims for the week. That's the checklist I can come back to at the end of the week and go, can I do all of those things? Can I explain the structural leap from Romanesque to Gothic? Can I distinguish structural ornament from applied decoration? Can I do those things? And if I can't, then I probably need to go and look a little bit harder, and either because I haven't fully understood something or because the resources didn't cover that. So then key themes, again, that is just something that I can look at and go, these are the things that I will understand by the end of the week. And then my list of resources. So you can see I am currently working on this list, and I like to personally have a combination of audio, video, and reading resources, which I put into ChatGPT. I request that that it includes all of those things. Then something else I've added this sprint is a notes framework. So I have added in the Trivium framework of grammar, logic, and rhetoric to add some structure to my notes. I used to just take pages and pages and pages and pages of notes that ended up just being overwhelming and not particularly useful. And so now I use this framework to first of all make sure that I have a basic understanding, which is the grammar layer. Then I can apply some reasoning, which is the logic layer. And then the rhetoric layer is kind of, can I express this idea? Do I have a point of view to express? And then every week I have a question that I then write a short response to. And I think that that synthesis part is very important, because you can study, but if you don't have any output from all of that input, you forget. I forget, at least, and I assume you are human and will also forget. So you can see that that is the week. And then the 6th week, the final week in my sprint, there is no new inputs. There's no new resources that I will be adding in at that point. The whole point of that week is, can I answer that first question? How are the Gothic and arts and craft movements related? It will give me an idea of what I should be able to explain, and a bit of a draft outline of how I might structure an output, which in my case will almost always, I think, be an essay. I am a writer, so I find that easy, but you can have a different output. So you could have a casual, fun presentation to your friends or family or partner. You could produce a video, you could write an essay, you could do all sorts of things. That is an output. But the point is that you have to synthesize everything that you have learned and be able to articulate it to somebody who does not know as much as you do about this topic now. So that's what I am working on for the next 6 weeks. It is not huge. It's significant. It requires probably 3 hours of study a week, which is not nothing, but it's not 8 hours. It is not my entire life. And it is already rewarding in the couple of hours I have spent on it this week to feel my brain grinding back into gear and already feel like I have learned something. I had heard of the Romanesque period, I had heard of the Gothic period, I didn't understand that they were chronological, I didn't understand what they looked like in different areas, I didn't understand what specific pieces of architecture, which churches have been both, and it is very rewarding to feel like I can now explain some of those things, and that is after like a couple of hours. So if you have been feeling like I have been feeling that you used to be smarter than this, and that you were more capable of holding information in your head, then I hope you will have some fun designing your own personal curriculum. So I thought I would share some lessons or some ideas that might help in no particular order. And the first one is, do not plan to study every single day. If you are a high achiever or a type A or whatever you identify as, you might think, great, I'm going to do a bit of study every day, or I will do it every weekday, or whatever it might be. Do not do that. do not set yourself up for that intensity. You don't need to. You are an adult. This is not your full-time job. Do not structure your week with more than 3, maybe 4 study sessions, because you just won't get through all of the things that you want to. Because life will life, you will miss a day and you will fall behind. So just go easy on yourself, schedule maybe 3 sessions a week. If one of those has to change, you can reschedule that and do something on the weekend or whatever. It will be fine. But if you pack your schedule too tightly, you will have nowhere to go. My second learning would be, do not overload yourself on inputs. As I said, ChatGPT often completely overloads me with, here are 3 books that you should read this week to help you understand your topic, which I just will not get to reading 3 books just for this study, as well as books that I want to read for enjoyment, which I still highly encourage you do, have books for enjoyment. And so it is important for you to be the human when you look at the syllabus and go, can I actually read and watch and listen to that much in a week, as well as take good notes, summarize, synthesize every week? Can I do all of that with that many inputs? Yes or no? And remove any that are just non-essential, because you're a human being with a life. So do not overload yourself with resources or inputs. Do not overcomplicate something that really is just like 1 or 2 hours deep diving, rabbit holing on YouTube. You don't need to turn that into a 6-week personal curriculum. That is just complete overkill. Do use your library and the Internet Archive and YouTube and podcasts, because you could do this whole thing at absolutely no cost. There is no reason that any of this has to cost you any money at all. If you actually restrict yourself to resources that you can only access for free, it will probably help you not overload yourself. In saying that, it is also a great way, if you are trying to build a reference library, to be very selective. You do not need to own every single book that you refer to. You can have 90% of them from the library and 10% that become important reference books in your personal collection. I think that is how amazing personal libraries are built. And then to reiterate, the question I think is essential and the output is essential. The question helps you focus, so you are not just studying everything to do with the French Revolution. And then the output is essential because you won't remember everything if you don't have to put things into your own words. So output is very important as well. And then this study sprint, I have added the trivium, the 3 parts of the note taking, which I think will give me a lot more structure to my notes and my thoughts, and help me avoid just ending up with notebooks and notebooks of random notes that I really can't do anything with. So that is my advice on how to create your own personal curriculum or study syllabus or study sprint or whatever you want to call it. As I say, if you would like a more polished step-by-step essay, I will put the Substack link down below for you to read it there.